Welcome to our deep dive today.
Yeah.
We're tackling a topic that's on the minds of a lot of businesses.
Right.
How to thrive
Mm-hmm.
in a world that's being increasingly shaped by tech giants.
Yeah.
So our guide for this exploration is Monopolies and Tech Giants,
Okay.
the insights you need from Harvard Business Review.
Okay.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
it's easy to feel like the ground is shifting under our feet
Right.
with the rise of these massive companies.
Yeah.
But this book promises to equip us with the knowledge and strategies to navigate this new terrain.
What's fascinating here is that these companies aren't just big.
Right,
They're operating on a scale and with a speed that's unprecedented.
right.
The book argues that they're fundamentally changing the rules of the game.
Okay.
Understanding this shift is crucial for any business hoping to survive,
Yeah.
let alone thrive.
The book uses a phrase that really struck me, corporate inequality. It sounds a bit ominous, doesn't it? Can you shed some light on what that means?
Yeah.
And why it's important for us to grasp?
Absolutely. Think of it like this.
Okay.
In the past, you might have had several large players in an industry,
Right.
each with their own strengths and weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
competing on a relatively level playing field.
Okay.
What we're seeing now is a consolidation of power,
Yeah.
with a handful of tech giants,
Yeah.
wielding enormous influence across multiple sectors.
Yeah.
This creates a very different competitive landscape,
Right.
one where traditional businesses can easily find themselves at a disadvantage.
So it's not just about these companies being big.
Yeah.
It's about the ripple effects of that size,
Mhm.
how it's reshaping entire industries and creating this uneven playing field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The book highlights how tech giants are encroaching on industries that were previously untouched by their influence.
Oh,
For example,
okay.
Amazon's foray into healthcare
Right.
is forcing traditional providers to rethink their entire business model. This kind of disruption is happening across various sectors,
Right.
and it's something businesses need to be prepared for.
It makes you wonder how businesses can even begin to adapt
Right.
and compete in this environment.
That's where the insights from Harvard Business Review become invaluable.
Okay.
The book doesn't just highlight the challenges,
Right.
it delves into potential solutions,
Uh-huh.
offering practical advice
Yeah.
based on solid research and analysis.
Okay.
It's about understanding the dynamics of this new landscape
Okay.
and then figuring out how to play the game strategically.
So it's like getting a playbook for navigating this new world with all its complexities and uncertainties.
Precisely. The book encourages us to think differently about competition,
Okay.
to look beyond traditional models,
Mm-hmm.
and to embrace innovation and agility
Right.
as key drivers of success.
This all sounds a bit daunting, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like we're all playing catch up while these tech giants are setting the pace.
Yeah. There's no denying the challenges.
Right.
But the book also highlights the resilience
Hmm.
and ingenuity of businesses
Right.
that have successfully adapted.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that while we can't control the actions of these giants,
Okay.
we can control how we respond,
Right.
how we position ourselves,
Okay.
and how we leverage our unique strength.
Okay. I'm starting to feel a glimmer of hope here.
Good.
So let's dive into some of those strategies, those
Uh-huh.
practical steps
Sure.
that businesses can take to not only survive,
Yeah.
but actually thrive in this environment.
Yeah. One of the most compelling insights from the book is the idea that instead of trying to compete head-on with these tech giants, businesses should focus on identifying and cultivating their unique strengths. It's about finding your niche, that specific value proposition that sets you apart and makes you indispensable to a particular segment of the market.
So it's not about being everything to everyone. It's about being the best at something specific, something that these larger companies might not be able to replicate easily.
Exactly. The book gives a great example of this with a company called Stitch Fix. They've carved out a successful space in the fashion industry by offering personalized styling services that leverage data and algorithms in a way that's very human-centered. They're not trying to be Amazon, but they're using technology in a way that enhances the customer experience and creates a strong brand loyalty.
That's a great example of how innovation can be a powerful tool for smaller companies. It's not always about inventing something completely new, but about finding creative ways to leverage existing technologies to meet specific customer needs.
Absolutely. And the book emphasizes that innovation isn't a one-time thing. It's about fostering a culture of continuous improvement, of always looking for ways to do things better, faster, and more efficiently.
So it's about agility as well, about being able to adapt quickly to changing market conditions and customer preferences.
Right. The book points out that tech giants are often nimble and responsive, able to shift gears quickly when needed. Traditional businesses need to embrace that same mindset, becoming more flexible and adaptable in their approach.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like the old saying, the only constant is change. But how can businesses actually become more agile? That seems like a big ask, especially for companies that have been operating in a certain way for a long time.
It's definitely a challenge, but the book offers some practical suggestions. One key element is embracing data-driven decision-making. Tech giants are masters at collecting and analyzing data to understand customer behavior and market trends. Smaller companies can adopt similar approaches, even on a smaller scale, to gain valuable insights and make more informed decisions.
I'm hearing a lot about the importance of data and technology. Seems like those are essential tools for businesses to thrive in this new landscape.
They are certainly important, but the book cautions against falling into the trap of thinking that technology alone is the answer. It's about using technology strategically in a way that aligns with your business goals and enhances your core strengths.
So it's about finding the right balance, about leveraging technology without losing sight of the human element, the relationships, the values that make your business unique.
Exactly. And this brings us to another important insight from the book, the potential power of collaboration. In some cases, it might make sense for smaller companies to partner with tech giants, leveraging their resources and reach to expand their own market presence.
That sounds counterintuitive. Why would you want to team up with the very companies that are supposedly threatening your existence?
It's not about surrendering to the giants, but about finding ways to mutually benefit. The book gives the example of Shopify, a platform that helps small businesses set up online stores. They've integrated with platforms like Amazon and Facebook, allowing their users to seamlessly sell their products across multiple channels. This type of collaboration can give smaller companies access to a much wider audience than they could reach on their own.
It's like finding a way to play within their ecosystem while still maintaining your own brand and identity.
Precisely. The key is to carefully consider the terms of any partnership, ensuring that it aligns with your long-term goals and doesn't compromise your core values.
That's a crucial point. It's about being strategic and discerning in your collaborations, not just jumping at any opportunity that comes along.
Now, you might be wondering if these strategies actually work in the real world. Well, the book is full of compelling case studies that demonstrate how companies, both large and small, have successfully navigated the challenges presented by tech giants.
Can you share an example that really stood out to you?
One that I found particularly inspiring is the story of a company called Dollar Shave Club. They went head-to-head with Gillette, a giant in the razor industry, by offering a subscription-based model that was more convenient and affordable. They didn't shy away from competition, they embraced it, and they found a way to differentiate themselves in a market that was seemingly dominated by one major player.
It's a classic David and Goliath story, isn't it?
Yeah,
It shows that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, there's always room for innovation, creativity, and a bit of daring.
absolutely. And I think that's a message that resonates with a lot of entrepreneurs and business leaders. It's about having the courage to challenge the status quo, to think differently, and to find your own path to success.
It's inspiring, for sure.
Mhm.
But I imagine there are also plenty of examples of companies that haven't been as successful. What are some of the common pitfalls that businesses should avoid?
One of the biggest mistakes is underestimating the power and influence of these tech giants. Some companies try to ignore them, hoping they'll just go away. Others try to compete directly on their terms, which is often a losing battle.
So it's about being aware of the threat, but not letting it paralyze you. It's about finding that sweet spot between acknowledging the challenges and focusing on your own strengths and opportunities.
Exactly. And another common mistake is failing to adapt quickly enough. The pace of change in the digital world is relentless, and companies that cling to outdated business models or resist embracing new technologies will inevitably fall behind.
It's like trying to sail a ship in a hurricane without adjusting your sails. You need to be flexible, adaptable, and willing to change course when necessary.
Right. And finally, I think it's important to remember that success isn't just about profits and market share. It's also about creating value for your customers, for your employees, and for your community.
It's about having a purpose, a mission that goes beyond just making money.
Exactly. And that purpose can be a powerful driver of innovation, resilience, and ultimately long-term success.
So to wrap up this part of our deep dive, it seems like there's no one-size-fits-all solution for thriving in a world shaped by tech giants. But there are certainly strategies, mindsets, and principles that can help businesses navigate this complex and ever-evolving landscape.
As we've been discussing these strategies and case studies, one thing that keeps coming to mind is the importance of perspective.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's easy to get caught up in the narrative of tech giants as these unstoppable forces, these behemoths that are going to crush everything in their path. And while there's no denying their power and influence, I think it's important to remember that they're not infallible.
So it's about not letting fear dictate our actions,
Right.
about recognizing that even the biggest companies have vulnerabilities, blind spots, and limitations.
Exactly. And I think that's where a lot of the opportunities lie for smaller businesses.
Right.
By being agile, innovative, and focused on their unique strengths, they can carve out spaces where they can not only compete, but actually thrive.
It's almost like a judo move, using the giant's size and momentum against it.
That's a great analogy. It's about being strategic and leveraging your own strengths to create advantages, even in a seemingly uneven playing field.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to bring it back to something we touched on earlier, the idea of corporate inequality and its broader implications. It's easy to get caught up in the business aspects of this discussion, but it seems like there's a bigger picture here, a societal impact that we need to consider.
Absolutely. The concentration of power in the hands of a few tech giants raises important questions about fairness, competition, and even democracy. If these companies control so much of our data, our communication, and our access to information, what does that mean for our freedom of choice, our privacy, and our ability to hold them accountable?
It's a sobering thought. It feels like we're at a crossroads where we need to decide what kind of future we want to create. Do we want a world where a handful of companies dictate the terms, or do we want a more equitable and diverse ecosystem where innovation and opportunity are more widely distributed?
Those are big questions, and I don't think there are easy answers. But I do believe that by having these conversations, by raising awareness, and by encouraging critical thinking, we can start to shape a more conscious and intentional approach to the role of technology in our lives and our society.
So it's not just about businesses adapting to the changing landscape. It's about all of us as citizens, as consumers, as participants in this digital world, engaging in a thoughtful and informed dialogue about the kind of future we want to build.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the most important takeaways from this book, the realization that we're not just passive observers in this technological revolution. We have agency, we have choices, and we have a responsibility to shape the direction of this change.
That's a powerful message. It's about reclaiming our power, both individually and collectively, and using it to create a more just and equitable future.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So for our listeners who are feeling a bit overwhelmed by all of this, what's the one piece of advice, the one nugget of wisdom that you would leave them with?
I would say this: don't be afraid to embrace the challenge. The world is changing, and yes, it can be daunting, but it's also incredibly exciting. There are so many opportunities for innovation, creativity, and impact. Don't let fear hold you back. Embrace the unknown, experiment, learn, and most importantly, never stop believing in your own ability to make a difference.
That's a great note to end on. So to our listeners, remember, knowledge is power. If you want to delve deeper into the insights from Harvard Business Review, be sure to check out the full book, Monopolies and Tech Giants. It's a valuable resource for anyone looking to navigate the complexities of this new business landscape.
And remember, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep asking those tough questions. The future is ours to shape.
That's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving.